Starting off our list today at number 10, we have Will Smith. The whole world has been talking about the infamous slap that happened at the 2023 Oscars, to the point it's just old and everyone needs to stop talking about it. However, with a handful of celebrities such as Jim Carrey, Amy Schumer, Zoe Kravitz, and many more speaking out about Will's actions, it has caused Hollywood to turn their backs on this brilliant actor. And it would start the cancellation process of Will Smith. Sony would then announce that they would have to put Bad Boys 4 on hold, and Netflix would also backburn Fast and Loose. CAA then started to discuss if they should drop Will as a client. Smith then cancelled himself by quitting the Academy, and the Academy then went on to ban him from attending the ceremony for the next 10 years. And we still don't know what this means for the star within this period of time, and we're just going to have to wait and see. Number 9, James Franco. Back in 2014, James would be exposed for going on Instagram and asking a girl when he was outside a theater in New York if she was 18. She then told the actor she was actually 17. He then went on to ask her the name of the hotel she was staying at and if he should get a room in the same hotel as well. Later in an interview on ABC Live with Kelly and Michael, the actor would then explain the encounter by saying, "I used bad judgment and I learned my lesson." Then in 2018, 4 female students from his Studio 4 acting school in North Hollywood told Los Angeles Times that James had compromised his position as a teacher to make unwanted moves and exploit them. With 2 of those girls going on to sue James, the actor would then have to fork out $2.23 million after he settled the case. Seth Rogen, his longtime collaborator and pal, also went on to drop James, and he would later tell the Times of London that the scandal changed his relationship and that he had no plans to work with Franco in the future, which became the end of the pair's 20-year partnership. James then made an appearance on the Jess Cagle podcast in 2021, where he admitted that he slept with his acting prodigies and that it was wrong, before claiming he had struggled with addiction and that being dismissed by Seth was actually a really hurtful experience for him to go through. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and you know, subscribe to the channel. Coming back to our list, in the number 8 spot, we have Kanye West. It's hard to know where to start with Kanye West's long list of controversies, as not only has the star been accused of cyberbullying his ex-wife Kim Kardashian and her old partner Pete Davidson, but he's also made some anti-Semitic statements that has everyone wondering if the star is really doing this as a cry for help. Kanye's obsession with trying to control and manipulate the situation has caused his career to plummet, and he lost out on huge business deals not only with Gap and Adidas, but also with Balenciaga. On top of that, he was even dropped by his agent. Now, it's unclear with how long the rapper will be canceled for, but one thing is for sure is that even when we should be keeping him out of the spotlight, outlets just keep scheduling interviews and pushing him to his limits, to the point his unhinged moments have become more unhinged, and every time it's like we see something we've never seen before. Number 7, Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer has been pinned by some disturbing allegations from his former flame, Effie Angel Nova, when she accused him of making unwanted advances and fantasizing about cannibalism. And then another ex would claim that Armie carved an A into her pelvis, and that he even asked her to have a rib removed surgically so he could eat it. And if things couldn't get any worse, an app developer who dated Armie for 5 months in 2020 also made the same claims, and on top of that, she said the actor liked the idea of having skin in his teeth. Now, Armie's lawyers have gone on to deny all the allegations by saying any interactions with any of his partners were completely consensual and that they were fully discussed, agreed upon, and it was a mutual participation. After the allegations were released, the divorced dad would go on to be dropped out of the film Shotgun Wedding, the Paramount Plus series The Offer, and the Broadway show The Minutes. In February 2022, a close friend to the actor would then tell the Post that his acting career should be coming back any day now, but that still hasn't happened and it probably won't. Number 6, DaBaby. When DaBaby was caught making homophobic remarks at a music festival in Miami back in 2021, he would end his career after he made some comments that dissed the LGBTQ+ community. Then later he went to try to clarify his views, and he only dug his hole even deeper to crawl out of after he doubled down on his claims. So DaBaby then got ripped apart by the LGBTQ+ community, and even celebrities like Madonna, Elton John, and Dua Lipa called him out for his insensitive comments. The fashion brand Boo Hoo Man even bolted on a deal they had with him. He would then find himself being booted from the 2022 Lollapalooza tour, and his concert in Atlanta was called off amid a flurry of cancellations for his concerts, including a radio station putting his music into a timeout. DaBaby then went on to embrace his plummeting stock and declared himself cancelled in a new version version of his hit Whole Lotta Money, where he cries and laughs off his current situation. Coming in number 5, we have Gina Carano. Gina Carano is a former MMA fighter turned Mandalorian star who angered some fans with a series of politically charged social media posts after the star made an anti-Semitic statement and paired them with American politics in 2021. She also went on to use a slew of hate towards the Jewish community before adding, "How is it any different from hating someone for their political views?" The actress later came under fire again when she decided to make fun of transgender people on Twitter by saying she preferred the pronouns beep, bop, boop. In the wake of her anti-Semitic comments, the hashtag #FiredGinaCarano began to trend on Twitter, which resulted in Disney to sever ties with her, and her management company, United Talent Agency, dropped her as a client as well. And where are you gonna go without your agency? Nowhere. Number 4, Chrissy Teigen. Actor ex-swimsuit model Chrissy Teigen was accused of bullying Courtney Stodden in the beginning of 2011 after Courtney was 16 and married 51-year-old Lost actor Doug Hutchinson. Courtney would claim that Chrissy wouldn't just tweet her things about her needing to take a dirt nap, but the model would also tell Courtney she wished she would just pass away in her DMs. Courtney would then spark fashion designer Michael Cotello and teen mom Vera Abraham to come out with their stories where they claimed Teigen bullied them as well. Teigen then quit her role as a narrator on the hit show Never Have I Ever, and she was then replaced by Gigi Hadid. It was then reported that her cookware line disappeared from Macy's and that Bloomingdale's had dropped her from their deal. Chrissy also had to back out of a planned cleaning products line that she was working on with Kris Jenner. Chrissy then tried to apologize to everyone, including Courtney, but the apology just wasn't genuine, and it was more just an attempt she made to try to save her career. Number 3, Matt Damon. When Matt Damon infuriated the LGBTQ+ advocates when he told the Sunday Times of London in August of 2021 that one of his daughters had taken him to task months ago for using a homophobic slur in a joke, the 51-year-old actor then went on to defend the comments in a statement, later claiming that the Times interview led many to assume the worst, and then he went on to say that he never called anyone that word in his personal life, and it was just a conversation that he was having with his daughter, and it was not a personal awakening, before claiming he doesn't use any types of slurs towards anyone. While Matt went on to receive a huge amount of hate online, he hurt many fans in the process, and because of this, the actor hasn't really gotten many gigs in acting and directing. As the scandal did break, Matt was promoting his film Stillwater, which took in a disappointing $2 million at the box office, and The Last Duel also flopped as it earned just $30 million. Meaning, Matt won't be offered any directing gigs anytime soon because he's costing production companies an insane amount of money because his films aren't living up to what it's bringing in. Number 2, we have Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle was slammed for making jokes about the LGBTQ+ community in October of 2021. Netflix special The Closer. GLAAD then released a statement saying Dave Chappelle's brand has become synonymous with ridiculing trans people and other marginalized communities. Dave would then be booed and protested by some students when visiting his high school in Washington, D.C., and in February it would be announced that Dave would be producing 4 more comedy specials. And then he went on to shrug off all his backlash by saying, "Is this what's being cancelled?" Is like, I love it. He has since continued to perform and was nominated for a 2022 Grammy, but more and more people continue to refuse to work with the star, and I don't blame them. And coming in number 1 today, we have J.K. Rowling. Harry Potter author caused a storm with her social media post about the transgender community, starting in 2019 when she supported a British woman who was fired from her job after making transphobic tweets. 6 months later, J.K. then piled on with her own snarky tweet about menstruation. She then went on to pen an essay on her personal website explaining her position but not putting out any fires. In addition to ongoing backlash, fans and Harry Potter stars Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint have all taken the author to task, to the point JK even skipped the HBO reunion special for the 20th anniversary. Even with her cancellation, it seems like the author is just becoming richer as she continues to make deals and produce more movies in the franchise she created. So starting off our list today at number 10, we have Kanye West. So back in 2022, the world saw Kanye Kanye West lose everything in the matter of seconds after he made some appalling anti-Semitic tirades that cost him his entire massive fortune. Almost everyone from his lawyers to agents and mouth-watering endorsement partners have dropped Kanye, and with his universal cancellation, it has caused the rapper's net worth to dip from $2 billion to $400 million. It all began at a Paris fashion show when the rapper thought it would be a good idea to wear a WLM t-shirt, which snowballed into anti-Semitism claims on mainstream and social media. The final straw was when Kanye completely lost it and started to throw some hateful statements at the Jewish community. The striking anti-Semitic comments forced even some of Kanye's biggest fans to back off and back the cancellation campaign of the rapper, but seriously, at the end of the day, Kanye really needed someone to take his phone away and keep him away from the spotlight, and that's where his team failed him. Number 9. Wendy Williams. It's clear that there's a lot going on with Wendy Williams right now, as the media personality is reportedly feeling broken. While it has been reported that the star is struggling with addiction that led to her being hospitalized, in the weeks leading up to her health scares, an inside source within revealed to The Sun that the star was pretty much drinking every day while she was even filming her show. While the star seems like she was doing okay for a bit, The Sun would then soon publish another report that would reveal that Wendy was still not over the betrayal of her ex-husband Kevin Hunter, and these feelings have contributed to her downward spiral. When Wendy found out her ex-husband was having a baby with his mistress, she immediately filed for divorce despite the two being married for 20 years. This is when Wendy also started to open up about her addiction, which stemmed from the betrayal to her viewers on the show. At this time, she would also confess to living in a sober house. But even after all of her hard work to get back on track, seems like she might be back at square one, as she has been caught looking pretty disheveled in the streets lately, and it looks pretty concerning, as it's clear that the star isn't exactly in the right headspace. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It would really help us out. Now, hopping back to our list, at the number 8 spot, we have Miley Cyrus. So with Miley Cyrus starting off her career at the age 11 as a child artist with the hit Disney Channel series Hannah Montana, she was the envy of many children who wanted to work in Hollywood. While the show was catered to younger audiences, of course, it's Disney, Miley suddenly shifted in the public eye, and this became a huge problem for Walt Disney Studios. When her song Can't Be Tamed was released in 2010, her image was drastically overhauled with her spicy music video. And because of this video, it was a little risky. It did raised some problems for Disney, as it featured their Hannah Montana star twisting around male and female dancers. While many would claim Miley was losing her mind as she was trying to escape the grasp of Disney to be free, it wouldn't be until Miley decided to pose topless with her back exposed for a Vanity Fair photo shoot that would have Disney scrambling to their feet when they realized Miley's squeaky clean image was threatened overnight. Just a day after the photo shoot, Disney then decided to cancel all connections they had with Miley, meaning her show and any music that played on the Disney radio channel. While the star continued to go on to ruin the good girl image Disney forced her to be, we all saw everything from tongues, risky outfits, twerking, and everything in between. But honestly, while Disney may have halted the new stages of Miley, she really came out here to prove to young women all over the world that we don't have to live up to society's pressures, and that was honestly pretty inspiring to see. Number 7. Britney Spears. Britney Spears has had a rough life. While the world just thought the star was losing her mind for no reason, when we all learned about her conservatorship, it all made us realize that every time the star acted out, she was really doing this because she was begging the world to notice that something was up and that she wasn't doing okay. While Britney's family forced the star to work endlessly so they could live off of her giant fortune, they enjoyed everything from spa days to champagne, and Britney would find herself being barred from these sorts of activities. It was so bad that the star couldn't even enjoy a cup of coffee. Now, eventually, Britney would tell the world what was truly going on with her and why her mental health was deteriorating so fast. And a lot of her actions then started to make a lot of sense. So back in the day when the world was making fun of the star and claimed that she was simply just off her rocker because she shaved her head or played dress up with her food at a restaurant table, while these gestures did seem a bit odd, it was Britney's way of showing us that her family was controlling her day-to-day life and she really needed us to help save her. Number 6, Will Smith. Just before the infamous Oscar slap, it said that Will Smith was having a terrifying vision that showed him losing all of his money. And while the star was also being humiliated by his wife again and again, he really didn't have anywhere to turn to. So it just kept getting bottled up inside. So eventually that pain and anger was so bottled up inside him that it was only a matter of minutes before the star would actually lose it. And unfortunately, that moment came just before he won an Oscar. While Chris Rock probably shouldn't have made such a hurtful joke to begin with, Will should have known better than to react with violence. With the slap sending Will into this professional life spiral, no one would have thought what was going to happen next. With Will being canceled, the Academy would then go on to ban him for the next 10 years from the award shows, and he also made the decision to quit the Academy altogether. And if it couldn't get any worse, Jada then started to make headlines saying that she never wanted to be with Will and that it was her mother forced her to do it. At the end of the day, Will's mental health was just deteriorating so fast that even he had to check himself into a hospital, focus on repairing his mental health. Now, it's clear that the actor won't stay canceled forever, but I do wish his recovery well, and I do hope things turn around fast for him because he definitely didn't deserve any of this. Number 5, Armie Hammer. So just when Armie Hammer was at the top of his career, no one would have thought his world would all come crumbling down after it was revealed that he was sending some pretty concerning messages to women. Since Armie has been the subject of intense scrutiny over the messages that claimed he had an outrageous fetish began spreading in January of 2021. It was clear that the star just wasn't in the right mind, we would all hope, because just days after the controversy had begun to unfold online, well, in the beginning, everyone thought the claims couldn't be true. But then when Armie stepped down from a role in Shotgun Wedding, we all started to realize that there actually could be some truth to the story. While the actor and his team continually denied the allegations that were being brought against him, it really makes you wonder what could be going through someone's mind that would make them tell potential partners that they wanted to eat them. Number 4, DaBaby. DaBaby is a Grammy-nominated artist who found himself being canceled after he made some outrageous remarks at Miami's Rolling Loud Festival back in 2021. While the star was on stage for his performance, out of nowhere, he began to call out members who are a part of the LGBTQ community. And here, he would continue to use crude language when he addressed them, all while he was spreading misinformation about medical issues. With artists such as Madonna, Questlove, and Elton John denouncing DaBaby's remarks after his concert, the whole world started to shut the door on the rapper as his performances started to be canceled all over the world. While DaBaby was trying to retract his comments just days later with an apology, he just caused so much pain and hurt to the point he won't be able to bounce back from this one anytime soon. Number 3, Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller was on their way to become a well-known Hollywood name. And while in the beginning we all praised them for being an activist who stood up for victims of gender-based violence in indigenous communities, by 2020, Ezra started to usher in a new kind of Ezra. And this Ezra showed us they were hiding their true colors from us for years. After Ezra was caught on a video getting into an altercation with a fan at an Iceland bar, it would soon be rumored that they were also leading a cult and making unwanted advances on younger people. While the star did come out to say they were sorry for their past behavior and anyone they may have upset with it, they continued to spiral out of control to the point it was clear the apology was fake and that there was something really concerning going on. While Ezra would later come out to say that their mental health was behind their bad behavior, I don't think any of us believe that. It's just really weird that deep DC studio still is supporting The Flash and Ezra with it. As if it was any other film star, their career would have faded away from Hollywood so fast that it makes you wonder if they have something going on that's allowing them to stay in the spotlight, when it's clear that being in the spotlight is actually causing them more harm because it's causing them to spiral more out of control. Number 2, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan has had a pretty troubling past, from substance abuse to mental breakdowns. This girl has single-handedly kept gossip sites alive, as at one point, all we ever saw was her name smeared across the headlines for everything she was doing. While the actress has been sent to 5 rehab facilities for a total of 250 days since January 2007, she has also had to appear in court 20 times before 4 judges who have found her in violation of her probation 4 times, and they have even sentenced her to 6 months in jail. While it is worth noting that she did spend less than 2 weeks behind bars in her 6 trips to the Los Angeles County Jail, Lindsay was confined to her home for at least 35 days each time they let her out early. While the star started to spiral out of control due to her outrageous partying, by 2014, the Mean Girls star would finally ruin her reputation in Hollywood, which would cause her career to come to a halt for a bit of time. While the star continued to party for years to come, lately it seems like she's back on track and she's doing well. She just signed a Netflix deal, and we haven't seen her do anything out of the ordinary, and it's great to see her back on track, and I can't wait to see what she does next. And coming in at number 1 today, we have James Corden. Back in October, James Corden would be put on blast by Keith McNally after James decided to cause chaos in his restaurant. On Instagram, Keith would even claim that James has been one of the most abusive customers he has ever had to face in his restaurant in the last 25 years. What started off as a date night soon turned into a disaster after James lost his mind over his wife's wrong order. After James complained about a number of issues that were wrong with the meal, instead of doing what a normal human being would do, he took things too far, and he began to scream at staff members, "You can't do your job." James then lost his mind even more and started yelling at the server like a crazy person when he said, "You can't do your job, you can't do your job, maybe I should go back into the kitchen and cook the omelet myself." And the worst part is, this isn't the first time James has acted pretty odd in public, as he actually has a long list of bizarre things that he's done, which proves he's either completely bonkers or he just let fame get to his head, or it could be both. Starting in at number 10, we have Antonio Brown. Former NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown would find himself under fire from fans and other celebrities after he chose to stand by Kanye West after Kanye made some anti-Semitic comments. Antonio, who played in the NFL back in 2021, said he will still remain in his role as president for Donda Sports, which is Kanye's sport agency. With Antonio remaining true to its mission of Donda, he's also channeled his buddy's controversial campaign by saying and supporting Kanye's WLM movement. Kanye has had a lot of criticism over his WLM shirt that he wore during his Yeezy fashion show. Despite the negative reactions, he has still gone on to make headlines for anti-Semitic comments. Overall, the controversy, both Antonio and Kanye have started to become really close friends, and they've even started to work on some music with each other. It also seems like Kanye isn't the only one doing some pretty odd things lately, as Brown has had his own share of controversy when a video that was released back in October showed himself exposing himself to a woman in Dubai. With Antonio calling Kanye's comments reactionary and selective outrage, he will continue to bring his new ideas, experiences, and design to our world while remaining in support of the humanity Kanye is bringing into the world. Number 9, Kim Kardashian. While we all notice the prospect of an epic, especially revolting fashion industry scandal unfolding, the response of some of the world's biggest celebrities caused many of us to be dumbfounded for continuing to support Cedric Charbit and the brand he represents as the CEO for Balenciaga. Just days before America's Thanksgiving holiday, the fashion house of Balenciaga would trigger some major backlash for its 2022 holiday advertising campaign, which toyed with some of the most deprived evils known to man, with the campaign exploiting children when the photos emerged of little girls holding on to handbags that were shaped like teddy bears, wearing some pretty outrageous gear, and a childlike drawing of a devil, we were all left feeling sick. At the end of the controversy, Balenciaga would try to claim that their plush bear bag should have never featured children in its campaign, and that they had no idea that the advertisement contained these images because they never approved the images. However, knowing that all companies have the final say to anything hitting the media, we all knew this was one giant lie made for the company to try to save their reputation. Kim Kardashian still choosing to stand by Balenciaga, a brand she seems to get all of her leotarded gloved outfits from. After days of being silent, she would say, "I appreciate Balenciaga's removal of the campaign and apology. In speaking with them, I believe they understand the seriousness of the issue and will take necessary measures for this to never happen again." While Kim has decided that she will be reevaluating her relationship with the brand, many of us have been disgusted at the fact that Kim is being a coward for not immediately cutting ties off with the brand, and we're honestly all disappointed that she is a grown-up with her own children who should be protecting other children, but instead she's failing to protect the most innocent and vulnerable by supporting a brand that is always out here showing huge levels of controversy consistently. Hey Peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in at number 8, Diddy. When Diddy decided to hop on the newest train in pop culture that revolved around cancel culture, many fans were pretty disappointed in his decision. When Diddy went on to say, "As a music family, none of us are saints, none of us are out here without things that happen to them in life." When the 2022 Billboard Music Awards came around, Diddy squarely stood behind Org's decision to invite Travis Scott and Morgan Wallen to perform, while explaining that one of the things he wants to do is cancel the uncancel, as the trend needs to be stopped. He would also go on to say that Travis went through a tragedy and Morgan hurled the N-word while talking to his boy. People make mistakes. Now we're moving forward on with love and respect for everybody that was hurt or affected. It's time to forgive. However, some actions are just unforgivable. As Morgan had been canceled from 7 award shows last year, after the incident rose, his music sales would actually rise during the period. As for Travis Scott, on the other hand, he pretty much was sidelined for months after the Astroworld tragedy, having 100,000 people present and asking them to search the stage and ignoring an ambulance in the crowd was just disappointing to see, and the fact that he is out here supporting it is just heartbreaking. Number 7, Bella Thorne. So last year when Armie Hammer's fantasies were exposed and some unverified screenshots would show Armie making some pretty serious claims when it came to his fantasies, although the topic was trending online, many celebrities choose to remain silent about the situation except for actor Bella Thorne, who took to her Instagram to defend. She would say, "I honestly can't believe this. People are crazy to fake this kind of stuff. Poor guy and his kids, like, leave his family alone. No way, he's a freak. Also, there's a million fake screenshots going around." People would certainly begin to criticize Bella's support by saying Bella Thorne is trash. How do some people still not see this? And Armie probably wasn't thinking about the good of his children when he told these girls about his fantasies, with Bella believing that she had more insight and wisdom when it came around to how Armie Hammer used his power to push boundaries with other women. The fact that she can sit here and claim that she's an ally to women and survivors, but doesn't let women have the chance to share their stories before claiming it as fake DMs, caused a lot of people to tell the star that no one actually asked for her opinion. Coming in at number 6, we have Bill Gates. When Bill Gates admitted that he was fundraising meetings that were held with late billionaire GE, he would discuss that the role that his relationship had with Jeffrey played a huge part in his divorce with Melinda Gates. When Bill sat down with Sunday Times, he would say that he didn't realize that by having those meetings, it would be seen as giving Jeffrey credibility. You're almost saying, "I forgive that type of behavior," or something so clearly that the way it's seen that I made a huge mistake not understanding that. With Melinda speaking publicly about her separation from Bill, she would tell CBS that many things ultimately contributed to her decision to end the pair's marriage. She would then reveal a bunch of secrets that included that there were whispers for years about Gates' extramarital relationships for people who work for him, and that his behavior was known as an open secret. Bill has always been scheduling off-site meetings that weren't on his calendar with Jeffrey, having multiple employees of Bill and Melinda's foundation visit his mansion and speak to the foundation about a proposed dollar charitable fund after he served jail time. At number 5, Sharon Osbourne. When Piers Morgan voiced his disbelief in what Meghan Markle had to say about her mental health to Oprah, he would face the wrath of thousands of fans. When Sharon Osbourne would tweet her support for her longtime friend, this would cause an confrontation with the talk co-host Cheryl Underwood, who would then ask Osbourne on air if she was a racist. Shortly after, the two would engage in this huge altercation, and the conflict would start an investigation by CBS, which would force Sharon to apologize. Sharon, in writing, would then say, "To anyone of color that I offended, or to anyone that feels confused or let down by what I said, I'm truly sorry," she wrote in a statement. "I panicked, felt blindsided, got defensive, and allowed my fear and horror of being accused of being a racist take over." After her statement in support for Piers Morgan continued, she would face further claims by her colleagues' remarks, which some she would go on to admit to and some she would deny. Osbourne would then join her friend Piers on Talk TV, where the presenters hold nothing back and say what they feel, and not following one party at all. And number 4, James Charles. After Charli D'Amelio uploaded a YouTube video that many people considered offensive as it showed her and her sister Dixie spitting out food in front of a personal chef, many users would deem it inappropriate. James Charles, who was also at the dinner, wouldn't be called out for any inappropriate behavior, surprisingly, like Charli and Dixie. However, that didn't stop him from speaking his mind about cancel culture and the D'Amelios dropping followers. James would go on to say, "The Charli situation is not sitting right with me right now. 100 million followers in 1 year, and y'all expect her to know how to be a perfect role model?" Backlash because she's a picky eater, and made a joke about milestones. 30-plus-year-olds dragging someone half their age. Feels familiar. However, I think a lot of people weren't upset about the fact that the girls didn't like the food, but the fact that they were beginning to spit up the food in front of the chef and making hurtful comments about it. The fact James tried to support this toxic behavior is just a little outrageous, because even with age, you can't justify someone's poor table manners, because we were all taught better to react during these situations at a young age. And number 3, Boozy. After the baby made some homophobic remarks during his set at the 2021 Rolling Loud Festival in Miami, Boozy would take to his Instagram Live to rant about the displeasure of people canceling the baby over his remarks. Shortly after the baby's performance, even Lil Nas would make a joke that him and Jack Harlow would be wearing nothing during the VMA's performance while performing Industry Baby for charity, and this also really didn't sit well with Boozy, as he would claim no one should be picking sides over the baby saying some wild things. Boozy definitely wasn't done with his rant, and he would continue on in another video about his outrage over Lil Nas' announcement, with several artists, including thousands of fans, speaking out against the baby's extremely hurtful remarks that were made. All Boozy did was add more fuel and stigma to the discrimination that surrounds the LGBTQ community. The mistruths that were used by the baby and supported by Boozy had no place in society, and the fact that the musicians used their voice to spread so much hate towards the most marginalized people in our community is just saddening. Boozy's out here saying people shouldn't be taking sides, yet he took sides to spread hate instead of using his voice for good. At number 2, Bo Derek. Now, the Kardashian family has been slammed for blackfishing for years, especially when it comes to their braids. When Kim Kardashian West was accused of cultural appropriation after crediting actress Bo Derek as the inspiration behind her box braids, she would even go on to credit the braids as Bo Derek braids. Now, Bo Derek would come to the star's defense. So Bo Derek, who is now 61, wore her hair like this while she was in the 1979 film 10, which featured the star running down a beach. Bo Derek would take to her Twitter account to say, "Hey, it's just a hairstyle that I worked on in the movie 10. Kim Kardashian calls it Bo Derek braids because she copied my pattern of braids. I copied it from Anne Margaret's backup singer from her Las Vegas show. And we all copy Queen Nefertari. I hope Her Royal Highness is flattered." While Derek has referred to the Egyptian queen, the two came under fire for not recognizing the styles and the history and origins and framing the looks as something new or edgy. Many people have been forced to cut their braids out to play sports or even to attend class, so both celebrities not understanding the hurt braids can cause was the concept of culture vulturing, and it was pretty disappointing to see. And at number 1 today, we have Nikita Dragun. When the drama between James Charles and Tati Westbrook erupted online, things would become more complicated after Tati would reveal James was manipulating men that were still emerging into adulthood. Tati would also reveal that James was spreading lies about her and betraying her after she spent years helping him with his brand. After Nikita Dragun showed the screenshots that Sugar Bear agreed to give Charles influencer tickets if he did a promotion, she would force herself into a situation that definitely didn't look good on her image. Especially when James told Tati he was being swarmed by crazy fans to even get those tickets. Over the years, James has become a huge controversial figure, and Nikita has consistently defended the star and has stayed by his side in the wake of all his bad behavior with James manipulating younger men. Nikita couldn't even understand the gravity of those topics, and she's continued to support James even when more of the situation became to come into light. At number 10, we have Whoopi Goldberg. Now, Whoopi is known for her comedic performances. However, every now and then she pushes it way too far and makes comments she just shouldn't have made. Back in 2004, Whoopi was quick to make some few wise cracks at the expense of George Bush during a Democratic fundraiser. Unfortunately, the puns didn't sit quite well with SlimFast, and the weight loss product manufacturer decided to drop Whoopi from their advertisements shortly after. In a statement, the company would say, "We at SlimFast trust the public and understand that the way in which Whoopi chose to express herself and her own personal beliefs at the recent fundraiser at Radio City Music Hall does not reflect the views and values of SlimFast." The company then went on to say they were extremely disappointed by the manner and the star chose to conduct herself, and that they would no longer be featuring her in ads on air. Whoopi's situation then would go on to highlight it's sometimes better to just leave politics to the politicians and keep your own beliefs to yourself. At number 9, we have Lil Wayne. Now, Lil Wayne learned the hard way that sometimes you have to be careful about what you rap about. Back in 2013, Lil Wayne's rhymes ended up getting him in a little bit of trouble when he stirred up some controversy with a distasteful lyric mentioning of civil rights madar Emmett Till. The Money on My Mind rapper would then be dropped from a multi-million deal with Mountain Dew, and Mountain Dew's parent company PepsiCo would issue an official statement saying they did not plan any additional work with Lil Wayne moving forward. His offensive reference to the revered civil rights icon does not reflect the values of our brand. Lil Wayne would then come out with his own apology, which would highlight that he would refrain from making any more references about Emmett Till or the Till family in general. However, Lil Wayne's apology wouldn't fix the situation, and Mountain Dew would pull the plug officially on its relationship with the rapper. At number 8, we have Lance Armstrong. Lance was at the height of his career before he was caught cheating his way through 7 Tour de France titles. In October of 2012, an extensive report by the US Anti-Drug Doping Agency eventually found that the athlete was part of the most sophisticated, professionalized, and successful doping programs that the sport has ever seen. Now, at first, Lance did try to deny the allegations, however the report proved it was impossible to dismiss, forcing Armstrong to stand down as his chairman of a cancer charity he founded, Livestrong. And later that month, Nike would sever all its connections with him, initially after saying they would stand by the cyclists. Due to the evidence, Nike would then come out to say in a statement that they were misled by the cyclists and that it was with great sadness that they have to terminate all their contracts with him. Now, Nike did, however, continue to support Livestrong only because Lance decided to step down from his position at the charity. Number 7, we have Tiger Woods. While Tiger may seem to have his hands full these days with multiple endorsement deals, back in 2009, many companies would drop the golf legend after he went public about his marriage infidelity. Tiger would lose deals with Gatorade, AT&T, and Gillette. A representative from Gatorade would come out to say that they were ending their relationship with the golfer as they no longer saw a role for Tiger in their marketing efforts. The spokeswoman then would continue to go on that they wished him the best. Now, initially, Nike and Electronic Arts would stick closely by Woods until he came forward with his public apology. At number 6, we have Kate Moss. 17 years ago, many weren't impressed with a newspaper that ran some photos of Kate and her then boyfriend displaying in some pretty outrageous behavior. The photos would cause some clothing companies such as Chanel, Burberry, H&M to drop Kate from their campaigns, and the London newspaper would begin questioning if Kate was a fit role model for teenage girls. Burberry would then later come out to say that they were deeply saddened by Kate's current circumstances and that they hope she could overcome her problems as soon as possible. Now, since the scandal, Kate seemingly cleaned up her act and has since been named the new creative director of Diet Coke. At number 5, we have Drea Michelle. American media personality Drea Michelle lost her endorsement deal with lingerie company Savage X Fenty after she decided to make a joke about women's violence after referencing a situation that occurred with rappers Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez. Now, the joke wouldn't sit well with others, and she would go on to say she was there for what happened. Almost immediately, comments started to call out Drea for being so insensitive towards the situation that occurred. Drea tried to make light of a situation, and the joke definitely didn't sit well with others, including Rihanna, who would then soon drop Drea from their endorsement. Now, Drea hopes one day she can get her endorsement back by the end of 2022, but I highly doubt that will ever happen. At number 4, we have Abby Lee Miller. Now, Abby Lee Miller has done some pretty outrageous things. The outspoken dance teacher in the hit show Dance Moms really made us question if we ever wanted to be dancers, or it made us pursue the idea of becoming one so we could one day train at her studio. However, Abby found herself in some pretty hot water when she was called out by a former dance mom, Adriana Smith. Now, Adriana has claimed that Abby made a number of racist remarks against her daughter, Cameron, while she trained with Abby at Abby's studio. The situation came to light when Abby posted to her Instagram with a post on Blackout Tuesday to support Black Lives Matter and its movement. As a result, Adriana came forward with the allegations, and Lifetime ultimately decided to cancel Abby's new series, Abby's Virtual Dance-Off. At number 3, we have Chrissy Teigen. So Target decided to pull all of Chrissy Teigen's cookware line off the shelf after the star received backlash for cyberbullying singer and reality TV actress Courtney Stodden. The popular retailer decided to ultimately that they would no longer be carrying her line of cookware and cooking accessories. Chrissy would issue an apology, but Target no longer wanted anything to do with Chrissy as it didn't support the past tweets the star made about Courtney. However, it wouldn't be the only deal Chrissy would lose out on, as just hours after news broke, Bloomingdale's was just hours away from signing a contract with the cookbook author, however pulled out due to the toxic press. And number 2, we have Lea Michele. When the star came under fire for making her former Glee co-star Samantha Ware feel like she was living in hell while the two worked together on the show, Samantha would come out to accuse Lea of making a number of traumatic microaggressions towards her on set. And at one point, it even made Samantha question what kind of career she would have in Hollywood. By the time Lea came out to apologize for the issue, it would be too late for the star as she would already lose her endorsement deal with HelloFresh, a meal kit company. On top of that, many other co-stars came forward with their own stories about how the actor acted on set with them. HelloFresh would then come out to say in a tweet that they do not condone racism or discrimination of any kind, and that they were extremely disappointed to learn about the recent claims made against Lea. They also stated that they took these allegations extremely seriously and that they were ending their partnership with Lea immediately. At number 1, to no surprise today, we have Kanye West. Due to Kanye West's outrageous anti-Semitism and WLM controversies, Kanye has officially lost his billionaire status. Forbes made it official Tuesday by saying that the star had lost his billionaire status in wake of Adidas ending their partnership with the rapper. Adidas then came out to say that they do not tolerate anti-Semitism and any sort of hate speech. The company then highlighted that Ye's recent comments and actions have been unacceptable, hateful, dangerous, and they violated the company's values of diversity and inclusion, mutual respect, and fairness. Just hours later, Gap and Foot Locker would remove Yeezy products from its stores, as both companies have stated that they do not support any type of racism, and Kanye's recent actions have been inexcusable. In addition, major talent agency CAA has dropped West as a client, and Studio MRC has said it will no longer air Kanye's completed documentary. Record label Def Jam has also said they will no longer be working with Kanye moving forward. Even luxury fashion house Balenciaga has closed its ties with West and have said that they no longer have a relationship nor plans for the future for projects with Kanye. And just like that, Kanye West has officially been cancelled.
And at number 10, Travis Scott. After the recent Astroworld Festival tragedy, it might be the end of Travis Scott as we know him. While Travis was performing at the sold-out 50,000 person festival, concertgoers rushed to the front of the stage, causing mass panic. People were crushed and not able to breathe. This resulted in the death of at least 10 people and injuries to hundreds of others. Since the festival, Travis Scott, along with the venue and concert promoters, are being sued for billions of dollars. Drake has also been named in a number of the lawsuits. Travis has released some statements and even a video apology, but fans are extremely extremely disappointed and believe he should have stopped the show. Videos have even surfaced of Travis looking right at the crowd while someone was being resuscitated, and many believe he saw what was happening and just did nothing. Following the tragedy, Travis is flooded with lawsuits, and no venue will ever want to host a concert of his again. And at number 9, DaBaby. DaBaby endured probably the worst cancellation of 2021 after he made homophobic remarks while on stage performing. He paused his performance and said in part, quote, "If you didn't show up today with HIV, AIDS, any of them deadly diseases, that'll make you die in 2-3 weeks, put your cell phone light up," adding that ladies can put their cell phone lights up if their privates, quote, "smell like water," then making derogatory comments about men hooking up in the parking lot. After the comments were made, the rapper faced backlash from fellow performers as well as fans. His collaborator Dua Lipa even made a statement condemning him. The rapper was supposed to be headlining the final day of Lollapalooza, but he was later dropped, along with getting pulled or dropping out of countless other festivals. He's made countless statements and apologies since, but fans have not believed any of them. And at number 8, Matt Damon. Matt Damon got cancelled after he revealed in an interview that he only recently stopped using the F slur in conversation. He thought the media would praise him for the decision, but everyone was just wondering what took him so long. During an interview, he shared a story about how his daughter urged him to stop using the F slur, as it is homophobic. Damon claims he only used it as a joke and never in a hurtful manner, but that his daughter's words resonated with him and he decided to stop. But that instantly backfired, with people calling out the star for ever saying it in the first place. Damon then tried to clear the air and clarified that he never actually said the F slur in the first place. He only heard it back when he was a kid. Damon said, quote, "I never called anyone that word in my personal life, and this conversation with my daughter was not a personal awakening. I do not use slurs of any kind." But it seemed to be too little too late. And at number 7, David Dobrik. David Dobrik used to be classified as one of the most successful YouTubers ever, known for giving away cars to his friends. But that all changed when Trisha Paytas started hosting the Frenemies podcast and went after David and his crew. Shortly after, Frenemies started bringing up David's worst moments. An insider article dropped where a girl shared her story of being assaulted by Vlog Squad member Dirty Dom. The woman also accused David of facilitating the toxic environment that led to her assault. But that's not all. Around this time, it was also exposed that he was responsible for an accident that almost took the life of his good friend Jeff Wittick. Jeff was partaking in a stunt for David's vlogs, but it went horribly wrong, and David took things too far, leading Jeff to have serious, life-threatening injuries to his face and eye. David took a long break, but is posting to YouTube once again. And at number 6, Chrissy Teigen. If you guys remember, Chrissy Teigen went through a massive cancellation after it was revealed that she bullied multiple celebrities over the years on Twitter, even coming after children at some points. Her main target seemed to be Courtney Stodden, who spoke out against Teigen and her harassment many times. All of her unearthed tweets were incredibly disgusting and made the entire internet turn on her. Chrissy decided to leave the internet for an undisclosed amount of time to reflect on her words and actions, but the time she took away only turned out to be a measly 23 days. She couldn't even pretend that she was actually going to change her ways and work on herself. Her return to the internet was not taken well, and many of her fans have stopped supporting her. She also just got backlash for hosting a Squid Games themed party. Many think it's ironic because she would be the rich person paying to watch in the real show. Halfway number 5, Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato received massive backlash after they attacked a small business on Instagram. After Demi visited a frozen yogurt shop in LA, they were shocked to see that there were multiple sugar-free and low-calorie options at the store, which Demi believed promoted diet culture. Demi decided to take their anger to the internet, where they blasted the shop in an Instagram story. But the shop clapped back on their own Instagram and said that they cater to all different types of diets, and the snacks that Demi saw were most likely for diabetics or people with celiac disease. After this, people started attacking Demi, saying they should have known all the facts before attempting to cancel the shop, especially in the midst of a pandemic which hit small businesses the worst. And at number 4, Erika Jayne. I have been following this one since day one, as I'm a huge fan of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. One of the cast star ladies, Erika Girardi, aka Erika Jayne, shocked the world when she suddenly decided to divorce her husband, all-star attorney Tom Girardi. But then police and lawyers got involved, and it was exposed that Tom was a fraud and achieved their lavish lifestyle from stealing from his clients. The fact that Tom represented orphans and widows made things even worse, as he was stealing from people that really needed the money. Erika is now being sued left, right, and center, and she might even be facing jail time. She spent the entire season of the show fielding accusations about her involvement, but over time the fans and fellow cast members turned on her. She's still on the show as of now, but facing bankruptcy with all her lawsuits. And at number 3, Justin Timberlake. After Framing Britney Spears was released, fans realized just how horrible that Justin was to Britney during their relationship. The documentary centered around Britney's terrible treatment in the media and how the people in her life contributed to this. One of the people that made the media treatment worse was her boyfriend at the time, Justin Timberlake. His worst offenses were speaking about their love life when that was something that Britney wanted to keep hidden, along with insinuating that Britney cheated in his Cry Me a River music video. But Timberlake was not only exposed for treating Britney badly, but his handling of the infamous Janet Jackson Super Bowl scandal also resurfaced, because Jackson's career was essentially ruined after the incident, but Timberlake got away scot-free. In response to all the backlash, he posted a lengthy apology to Instagram. Although many felt it was forced by public pressure, not really genuine. And at number 2, Morgan Wallen. Country singer Morgan Wallen was swiftly cancelled this year after he was caught using the N-word on a security camera in February. Wallen was already on thin ice with the public after he left the SNL crew scrambling to replace him as the musical guest on the show when he broke quarantine guidelines before his appearance. At the time the footage was released, Wallen had one of the most successful country albums ever made. But after the incident he apologized, saying, quote, "I'm embarrassed and sorry. I used an unacceptable and appropriate racial slur that I wish I could take back." The public was so outraged that his music was blacklisted from radio stations and he was taken off Spotify playlists. Since the scandal he has started touring again and still breaking country music records, although he is still banned from a lot of award shows. And finally, number 1, Sia. Sia is known for being a massive pop star, belting out insane vocals. But this year she decided to try a new venture out, most recently directing the film Music. But this film might have just destroyed her career. The movie was released in February of 2021, and even before its release, it was already getting widespread criticism. The film is about an autistic girl who is brought under the care of her half-sister after the passing of their mother. Originally it faced backlash for casting Maddie Ziegler to play music in the film when she is not autistic, but after its release it was criticized for not accurately portraying those on the autism spectrum, as well as showing harmful and dangerous restraint methods in the film that were widely condemned by those in the community. The film currently has a 14% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, and Sia was forced to apologize for Maddie's portrayal in the film.
Starting off this countdown at number 10 is no other than Kylie Jenner. It is known that Kylie Jenner takes a lot of pride and effort in her appearance and fashion, especially for any kind of event. But this costume did not hit the mark. In 2015, Kylie dressed up as an apparent Eskimo, or at least that is what she said in her Instagram caption. Not only is the word Eskimo considered a slur that is highly offensive, but many were also upset because Inuit and Alaska Natives are real people, not costumes. So Kylie's fans were not impressed by the costume, and the only publicity she was getting was very negative. After being slammed with all the negativity, Kylie was quick to change her Instagram caption to Snow Princess instead. But by the time she changed the caption, the damage was already done and many people were already very upset with her initial costume. You can't just change the caption after you already did the costume. Snow Princess! That's all she could come up with. Moving along at number 9 is Heidi Klum. The former model is known for her eccentric costumes every year and showing up to wow the crowd. And she usually does. I'm usually very impressed with her costumes. But her costume in 2008 was not a hit and more of a miss. This is because the celebrity dressed as Kali, the Hindu goddess of destruction. I hope I said that right. The costume consisted of her whole body being painted blue, a black wig, and a belt made of severed heads and hands. It was quite the sight. Though the celebrity was met with a ton of backlash as it was quite offensive to those who actually practice the religion. After her costume debut, the Hindu American leaders demanded an apology from Heidi with the claim that the goddess in the religion is to be worshipped in sacred temples, not for parties or for a publicity stunt. The former model responded saying that her assistant thought of the costume and that she gave her the okay to wear it. So she basically threw her assistant under the bus. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure what's worse, her costume or her response to the criticism, like putting blame. I'm not letting anyone tell me what's okay to wear. You get the final say, Heidi. Moving along to number 8 is Ashley Tisdale. The family-friendly Disney star found her acting success in the High School Musical movies. That being said, she stirred up quite a bit of controversy when she appeared at Vanessa Hudgens' 2016 party in a Day of the Dead inspired look. Let's be clear, Day of the Dead and Halloween are not the same, and the Day of the Dead is a Mexican celebration to honor deceased relatives. Therefore, fans slammed Ashley for her costume being extremely racist and offensive to some people. Her costume got her accused of appropriating Mexican culture and sexualizing their event. Ashley's husband would later go on to defend his wife, but the damage was already done. So his defense didn't work. While it was cute, it didn't work. Swiping through the numbers on this countdown, at number 7 is Paris Hilton. Being in the headlines for Paris was a good thing, usually it is, up until the negativity from her 2010 Halloween costume skyrocketed. Paris found herself at a Halloween party at the Playboy Mansion, dressed up as she stated, a Native American. The costume featured a headdress, feathers, beads, and an animal skin bikini. Many were quick to call her out with the highly offensive costume, but Paris didn't seem to care. You would think from all the negative backlash and disrespect that people would stay far away from a costume like that, especially after her backlash, but that would not be the case for Paris's own sister, Nikki Hilton, as 5 years after her sister's inappropriate and controversial costume, Nikki decided to dress up in the exact same one. Seems like the Hilton sisters did not learn their lesson the first time around. You can probably assume that this again was met with a lot of backlash in the media when Nikki wore it, especially since her sister already made that mistake in the first place. Moving up the chart at number 6, we have Hilary Duff and her then boyfriend, Jason Walsh. During the celebrity's time on Disney, Hilary had to keep a very squeaky clean image, but after transitioning out of her Disney stardom, she was able to make decisions for herself. But this costume decision should not have been worn out in public, as in 2016, the couple costume of choice for them was a pilgrim and a native chief. As soon as the pictures of the two started circling on social media, a lot of people were upset. Not only is the costume offensive in itself, but this was at the time that there were protests against the Dakota Access Pipeline that would go through sacred grounds. So everything that could have been wrong with this costume was wrong. Hilary eventually took to Twitter to apologize though for her couple's costume and said that she was deeply sorry to people that she offended and that she did not properly think it through. So she took accountability and she apologized. So stands for something, right? Up next at number 5, halfway through, we have Kate Hudson. The American actress and author is an award winner and has starred in some of the most romantic rom-coms as of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, if you remember that one, and Bride Wars. I love How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Random fact, you're gonna be like, what the hell? I based my prom dress off her yellow dress in that movie. Anyways, no one cares. Just thought I'd throw it out there. But Kate shocked many people for her costume in 2014 as Dr. Luke. The distasteful costume featured the singer in scrubs and a name tag that reads, Dr. Luke, Gynecology Department. But the person she was dressing up as was not a doctor. She was imitating Dr. Luke, the music producer that abused Kesha over a period of 10 years. At the time, Luke and Kesha were in the middle of their lawsuit, so the costume was very off-putting to fans and just seemed like an awful decision. The media took this by storm and criticized her costume as it was very inappropriate for the time, and in general. It's possible though that her intentions for the costume were good to try and show her support for Kesha. However, if that was truly her intention, there are just better ways of showing your support. Taking our next spot at number 4, we have the American actor Colton Haynes. The celebrity is known for his outrageous and over-the-top Halloween costumes, but this one was not a fan favorite. For obvious reasons. Back in 2011, the actor wore blackface when dressing up as Kanye West, and he painted his whole body for the costume. The intention of going as Kanye West was not the problem, it was covering his whole body in dark brown paint. You would think Colton would learn from his past mistakes of controversial Halloween costumes, but that would not be the case. The following year, the actor dressed in blackface for a second time and painted his body for a Gandhi costume. Colton has since apologized for his controversial costumes and says that he was unaware that he was offending people with them and that it wasn't his intention. Making the very same mistake twice, like 2 years in a row, is pretty bad, and his career has just never been the same since then, to be honest, but I wonder why. Moving to our top 3 spots, at number 3 is the EDM duo The Chainsmokers. The music duo has produced Billboard-topping chart songs with artists like Justin Bieber, Coldplay, and Halsey. But the very popular musicians were met with backlash in 2014 after their, this is what it was called, Ebrola costume. Yes, you heard that right, Ebrola. I will explain. After performing at a university, the duo made their way to a fraternity after party where they showed up in a pretty controversial costume. The costume mocked the deadly disease Ebola, Ebola, which at the time was a great epidemic in West Africa that had killed more than 5,000 people by that point. It's easy to say that their costume of a hazmat suit and fake mustaches of imitating health workers was pretty tone deaf during that time. Looking back on this controversy now in 2021, after going through a pandemic for the past 2 years, I don't think this costume would fly with anyone. I'm pretty sure people did stuff though in 2020 regarding the COVID costume thing. Quickly taking over number 2, we have Chris Brown. We all know that Chris is not new to controversial headlines and negative media coverage for good reasoning. But this incident would be one of the worst ones. In 2012, the singer showed up to a party hosted by Rihanna as a member of the Taliban. This costume shocked everyone on social media, especially because before the party, Chris tweeted a photo of himself and his friends dressed up with the caption, "Ain't nobody effing with my clique." Don't get me wrong, it's not totally surprising that Chris would do other offensive things like this, but it doesn't justify the blatant racism that was his costume. Fans of his were outraged, and to make matters worse, in an interview when he was questioned about the costume, instead of apologizing, he remorsefully said, "It's effing Halloween, get over it." Classy man. He's single, isn't he? I'm not surprised. Last but certainly not least, the number 1 spot on this countdown is going to Julianne Hough. This might not come as a surprise because in 2013, when Julianne dressed up in this costume, everyone on social media was talking about it for just how bad it is. People still talk about it. I mean, here I am. The Dancing with the Stars champion went out as the Orange is the New Black character, Crazy Eyes. Her costume was in very bad taste though, and landed her in major controversial headlines as the costume was blackface. Julianne and her friends all appeared to have gone as the cast of the show, but none of them seemed to think that Julianne's portrayal was offensive at the time that they were getting ready. Apparently, even actress Isla Fisher went up to Julianne at a party demanding that she go to the bathroom and wipe the makeup off her face. The actress who actually played the character on the show even talked about the controversy by saying the whole costume was a very unfortunate situation. After the incident, the backlash from the costume was so intense that Julianne came out with a statement saying that it was never her intention to be disrespectful, and that she realizes now that her costume hurt and offended people, and the statement was followed with her apologizing. Thank God.
And at number 10, Ellen DeGeneres. In 2020, Ellen went through one of the biggest scandals of all time when it was exposed that she was not the friendly, nice dancing lady that we see on screen, and behind the scenes she was incredibly mean. Ellen's fall from niceness all started when one of DeGeneres' former employees, Kevin T. Porter, tweeted out that Ellen was, quote, notoriously one of the meanest people alive. And the replies of the tweet shared tons of negative interactions that people had with Ellen over the years. This sparked a whole wave of exposing of not only Ellen, but her show as well. Then it was revealed that her show also had a toxic work environment and her staff were verbally berated constantly. There were even reports of inappropriate conduct by high-level producers of the show, which resulted in a number of the top producers getting fired. As of now, Ellen is set to end her long reign on daytime TV after this season is finished. And at number 9, Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams is notorious for her controversial opinions on her show that constantly get her in hot water. This year, she got tons of backlash after she made some insensitive comments while talking about a TikToker named Swaby. Wendy started off the segment saying she had no idea who he was, and nobody in the audience would probably know either. Then she started talking about his TikTok followers and how he has more followers than her. Then her producer named Norman chimed in that Wendy actually has more followers than him on Instagram, not TikTok. Then out of nowhere, Wendy explains the reason that they're even talking about him is because he was killed. He died at the age of 19, and Wendy described the situation while adding that nobody is currently in custody, so the case will most likely not be solved. This clip then went viral online with people calling out Wendy for how strange and insensitive the segment was. Swaby's mother, Chanel Clark, told Philadelphia's CBS 3 that she didn't appreciate Williams' commentary. Quote, like as a mother, Wendy Williams, how dare you, so disrespectful. I used to watch you as a child, and even though you have a gossip show and all that, you didn't even know my son. And at number 8, Amber Heard. Amber Heard has been in a messy divorce battle with her ex Johnny Depp for years now. Many online believe she is a liar, and more evidence keeps mounting that she probably is. Some body camera footage from a pivotal night in their divorce battle was released this year, showing their apartment in 2016. The footage shows a tidy apartment, which is a stark contrast to what Amber claimed in her original testimony. And Depp and his lawyers believe that this proves that Amber lied when she said that Depp trashed their apartment that night. And that's why their relationship ended. Heard has given evidence in multiple legal cases saying that Depp hurled a phone at her face and trashed their penthouse kitchen during the May 2016 dust-up. But now it looks like that was not the case. And this is fueling even more backlash against the actress and support for Johnny Depp. And number 7, Lea Michele. Lea Michele used to be the queen of musical theater, making a name for herself on the hit show Glee. But that all changed in 2020 when she got called out by plenty of her former cast and crewmates, saying she was a rude and entitled brat. The person who kicks this off was Samantha Ware. She started the entire downfall of Lea Michele after she called out Michelle for the way that she acted on the set of Glee. When Lea Michele posted tweets in support of George Floyd after his death, Ware decided to call out Michelle on the hypocrisy. She commented, quote, "Remember when you made my first television gig a living hell?" adding that Michelle was microaggressive towards her and even threatened her. After this, plenty more people of color that Lea Michele had worked with came forward to expose her. As of now, she's just laying low and hasn't been cast in a project in years. And at number 6, James Charles. James Charles was at one point the biggest beauty YouTuber on the platform, and he was so popular that he even got major celebrities to collaborate with him on his channel, like Kylie Jenner and Doja Cat. But there have been so many ups and downs in his career, it seems that the beauty community is just tired of him. James has been at the center of some of the biggest cancellations on YouTube, and after his recent 2021 cancellation, I think his career is done for good, specifically because in 2021, he was cancelled for the exact same thing that he was cancelled for back in 2019 during Bye Sister. He owned up to his problematic behavior in a video, then left the internet for about 4 months. Then when he came back, his channel had a significant drop. James used to get over 5 million views a video easily, but now he struggles to get about 2 million. Of course, these are still massive numbers, but it's clear that there's been a noticeable decline. Halfway number 5, Shane Dawson. Shane Dawson was basically the king of YouTube in 2020. He had multiple massive docu-series that were breaking the internet, and he was doing numbers that nobody had seen on the platform. But that all changed when problematic behavior from his past resurfaced. It was exposed that he was a key part of James Charles' original Bye Sister cancellation, and he wasn't the nice empath that he'd been portraying for years. Shane stayed off the internet for about a year and a half before coming back with a haunted series for Halloween in 2021. Although, like we've seen in other cases, his return was not well received and his series got a fraction of what his past ones usually did. And at number 4, Sia. Sia is best known as an iconic singer, but she decided to take a dive into directing, and it got her cancelled. She decided to create and direct a movie called Music about a girl with autism. The movie was star-studded, including Kate Hudson in the cast, who won a Golden Globe for her performance. After the film was released, it faced extensive backlash. Many found the film damaging to the autistic community, along perpetuating stereotypes about the condition. Sia also got backlash for deciding to cast Maddie Ziegler, her longtime dancer, in that role instead of an actual autistic person. As of now, the reviews for the movie are atrocious, with only a 14% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. And at number 3, Zoe Laverne. Zoe Laverne was cancelled in 2020 after a leaked video showed her kissing a the fan was 13 and had become friends with Zoe at the time, and since Zoe was 19, this is disgusting. After the video went viral, there were rumors that she had been arrested, but we later learned that was not the case. She later took to Instagram Live to address the video, saying she didn't do anything wrong with Connor, adding, quote, "I wouldn't do that to him. I literally love Connor to death. I wouldn't do anything to him ever without consent. Connor and I both consented to kissing. That's how it went. We both liked each other, and then we realized that the ages were too different. Nothing happened between us besides kissing." And the fact that she was defending it just makes it so much worse. She's been laying low on the internet ever since. And at number 2, Chrissy Teigen. Chrissy Teigen got cancelled in 2021 after it was exposed that she bullied other celebrities on Twitter in the past. These old tweets were incredibly shocking and problematic and proved what a nasty person that she could be. Courtney Stodden was the first person to bring up Chrissy's problematic behavior and expose the mean tweets that Chrissy tweeted about Courtney, including telling Courtney that they should, quote, "take a dirt nap." Chrissy apologized, writing, quote, "As you know, a bunch of my old awful tweets resurfaced. I'm truly ashamed of them, as I look at them and understand the hurt that they've caused." Although plenty of fans do not believe her apology is sincere. And finally, at number 1, Chris Noth. Following the release of the 2021 Sex and the City reboot called And Just Like That, actor Chris Noth has been accused of sexual crimes against multiple women. The women, who remained anonymous, said that the events happened in 2004 and 2015. Noth and these women had sexual relations which were either non-consensual or consent was granted after pressure. After the allegations became public, Peloton decided to pull their ad featuring the actor. Both women told The Hollywood Reporter that Noth's return to the Sex and the City franchise had triggered memories of their experiences with him years ago. Neither of the encounters were reported to police at the time. As of now, 5 women have come out against him. The 3 leading women on Sex and the City have also issued a statement supporting the women that have come out against Noth.